After being out a lot this year, I was on vacation. I was getting some construction done in the house. I'm finally back doing some shorter term trading starting today. And I just want to talk a little bit about the right attitude to have of talking to myself as much as I'm talking to anybody else as usual. But the attitude to have, sometimes when you've been doing this for a while and you kind of know what you're looking for, oftentimes even the night before, you might think a setup that could happen the next day and you'll be ready for it, or you see something in the pre-market and you can be ready for it. So there's those caveats to what I'm going to say. But generally speaking, for me, given that, for me, it's very much, I'll know it when I see it. And the more I can not trade and the less I can do, if I can challenge myself to do as little as possible, then usually ends up that's a better situation for me. So basically when I'm going in today, I say to myself, how long can you sit here and do nothing? Make the market kind of pull you in. Excuse me, I'm in the middle of my workout right now, so that's why it's a little huffy and puffy. I just wanted to get this out though, because I think it's really important, because especially when it's busy and maybe you have not done well holding assets, or you got hurt a little bit in the correction. Maybe you've done great. It doesn't really matter what your situation is, but there's a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a something that happens when your emotional curve matches the market. So you come in and you're kind of tiled into the frequency of the market, which is maybe a little panicky, some fear, anxiousness, volatility, and you start feeling like you're like that also. So then you're trading the market and yourself and your P&L, and there's three things going on instead of just trading the market, which is hard enough, and that's just one thing. So my attitude is just that, how long can I sit here and do nothing? Just honestly sit here and be present and wait. And oftentimes what happens is, and this used to happen when I was in Chicago, I would show up late because I was in a traffic jam, and there'd be a big a move that I'd be looking for, and I'd be anxious because I'd show up a half hour after the open in a few instances, and then there would be a counter move that would happen and surprise everybody, and then I'd come in and everybody'd be collecting their arms and legs because they got hurt in an unexpected move, and then the move that I wanted to happen would just easily and clearly happen, and I would come in late and it'd be easy for me to catch it because I didn't get hurt in the first move. Sometimes there's kind of that fake out move, and then there's the next move, which is really clear if you didn't get hurt in the first one. And oftentimes that shows up, those setups show up when you're just kind of calm and patient and waiting. And this goes back to a story I wanted to retell. I told this maybe a year ago in a podcast, but my friend Brent and I were trading in a really difficult, choppy August. It was just a dead, slow summer month. This was like probably 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago or something. And most of the firm was getting pretty beat up because it wasn't a good month. It was just tough, but everyone was in there trying to make things happen because it's been slow for a while. And we got the series Deadwood on HBO, and we had our headphones, and we just laughed the whole month and watched the show. And then every once in a while something would happen that we couldn't help but trade, because it just kind of pulled us away from the show. We paused the show, we'd trade, and we made very few trades. It ended up both had pretty good months and had no stress and had a lot of fun. And it was kind of miserable for everybody else. And obviously I've been the everybody else a lot of times, so this is not a high horse thing. This is just an example of going in there and expecting nothing, even when it's busy, knowing that you're probably going to do stuff, but that attitude that's how you get into flow, and that's the opposite of trying to force something. And the more you can adopt that, the better you do. It's just waiting. And for my personality, I'm willing to take risk. I can sometimes get involved in too many moves, so this works really well for me. And it's just a matter of talking to myself ahead of time and getting in that mindset. Because if I show up without being in that mindset, it's hard to get into it. Usually you don't get into it till you get beat up and you get deflated, and then you kind of have to be in that mindset. So that's the mindset I'm going to be going in with.